welcome to your February horoscope. My name is Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this video, we will be going over all of the energy you will be navigating for the month ahead. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. Now, let's get right into it. So, I break these horoscopes down by week and I select a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. So, the first day of the month, as soon as we come into the month, February 1st, we've got our full moon in Leo at 13 degrees. You have Leo in your eighth house of your partner's finances, money coming in from outside resources, taxes, inheritance. Also, psychological healing and transformation can be in that eighth house. And so those themes and topics will all be lit up at the time of the full moon in Leo. Also, keep in mind that this is going to be the last lunation in Leo that is not an eclipse because we do have the nodes entering Leo and Aquarius come July and this month. And when we have the nodes transiting certain areas of our chart, those areas of life are going through massive changes for 2 years while those nodes are transiting that area, those houses. And so I will make a separate video getting into that energy and the nodes entering Leo and Aquarius and how that will be affecting each sign. But I also go over it in my 2026 horoscopes for the year so if you want, you can check that out. Um, but yeah, so I mean, the nodes are going to be entering your second and your eighth house, which are your money houses. And so your finances could be going through a lot of changes, or even just your approach to finances, your partner's finances, debt, taxes, inheritance, like all of that stuff, all those themes and topics. But this is the month where you can get a sneak peek as to what those changes are going to be, because whatever is kind of showing up now this month, um, that's going to give you an idea. Now, on the third, we've got Uranus stationing direct. And this is usually an energy that, to be honest, we don't really feel. This is something that could be kind of felt more collectively, which I do think this month is going to be big for like weather and storms and power outages. So yeah, we do want to watch for that. On the 5th, we've got Mercury forming a square to Uranus. Now, all this energy is in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions and personal values. So you may just kind of something may come up that you're having to address around your finances, like maybe you receive something in the mail of a bill that you forgot to pay or something that has to do with a loan. Um, yeah, there might be just something there that you have to address. On the 6th, we've got Mercury entering Pisces. So as we move through the month, all this energy in your second house is going to move into your third house, which is the house of community and neighbors, neighborhood, public transit, vehicles, also communication, your mindset, anything around reading, speaking, writing, that's all in the third house. Siblings, cousins are in the third house. Um, Now you've had that North Node in the third house since January 2025. So there's already kind of been a lot of changes or a new direction you've been taking in that area of life. As we have the planets enter Pisces and activate that, there can be more to that story coming in too. So just be mindful of that. On the 8th, we've got Venus square to Uranus. And so, again, this could be something sudden. Venus is the ruler of your fifth house of children, creativity, passion, romance, creative projects. So, there might be something you're having to navigate around those themes and topics. Venus is also the ruler of your 10th house of career and public reputation. So, there might be something also around your career that could be possibly sudden or disruptive that you're having to address. Then once we get to week 2, on the 10th, we've got Venus entering Pisces. And on the 11th, we have Mercury entering Shadow. So Mercury is going to get to the degree point that it's going to retrograde back to. And this is when we want to start to pay attention to what is showing up, because this is where events and themes and topics that show up between this date and the time that Mercury stations retrograde, that usually gives us an idea of the events we will be revisiting and reevaluating. So definitely kind of pay attention, after the 11th, what is showing up, especially around vehicles, community, neighbors, siblings, cousins, also like anything, all forms of communication. On the 12th, we'll have Mercury conjunct the North Node. And again, this is kind of, I really love when the planets conjunct the North Node because whatever you've been navigating in this area of life, this is where there is either some insight, clarity, conversation, information coming in that helps us navigate this new direction we're moving into. Even if at the time it seems insignificant, it can be quite significant down the road. So it is a day you want to kind of pay attention to your conversations, your intuitive downloads, thoughts, um, information you're receiving that's kind of standing out in some way. On the 13th, we have Saturn entering Aries. And so all of this new kind of Saturn Neptune energy in Aries is in your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So this area of life is going to be going through change as well. I have seen sometimes when Saturn is transiting the fourth house, people purchase a home. Saturn usually brings more maturity and responsibility in the area of life that it's transiting. Now, um, I do get more into this energy in the forecast that I have on my channel. So you can check that out in your 2026 horoscope, but also the Saturn Neptune transit. I get into all 12 rising signs as well. Um, but this is a time where, and also too, because Saturn is your chart ruler. When Saturn enters Aries, because Saturn is at fault in Aries, Saturn doesn't necessarily like to be in Aries. You may find too that you are going through some type of shift and reset, also, like on a personal level. Then we get to the third week of February, and on the 16th, we have the Sun square Uranus and Mercury trine Jupiter. So the Sun square Uranus sometimes can just bring possible anxiety. This can bring sudden insight, but usually with squares, I find because Uranus kind of rules the electrical systems in our body and our nervous system, and with you with having the sun, well, actually at this point, the sun's going to be in in your second house of money and finances. So there might be something there again that's a little bit disruptive or something you're having to navigate. But this could be a day two, intuitive downloads, or that you're just experiencing something around your nervous system or anxiety. And then Mercury trine Jupiter is where you can get some really positive information. Maybe you're having a really positive conversation within your relationship or an important one-on-one connection, or you receive some really supportive information. Around something you're navigating. On the 17th, we have our solar eclipse in Aquarius at 28 degrees. And this again is going to show us, what that change is going to be like in these areas of life. And this is happening in your second house of money, finances, and material possessions. And so there's going to be a lot of changes around your finances, maybe even too about how you approach finances, how you spend money, your spending habits. Um, because it's in that second and eighth house axis, it also has to do with your partner's finances too, right? So there's going to be a lot of changes in this area, but this is the month again that we want to pay attention to kind of what those changes are going to look like because we can start to get a bit of a sneak peek into what's showing up. And then we have Venus conjunct the North Node. So again, that is a day that we want to pay attention to any insight or conversations or kind of what's showing up. On the 18th, we've got the Sun entering Pisces. On the 20th, we have the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. And so we're all going through some type of reset or rebirth in some way. Saturn being your chart ruler, you may be going through something around identity. Um, yeah, there could be something around your identity that you're navigating. There could be some confusion around identity. There might be something around your appearance that you're wanting to change. There could be something around your perception of reality or the mask that you wear out in the world. There could be a dissolving of that and kind of like a reset or a rebirth taking place. Definitely check out that other video too, because I get really deep into that energy. On the 22nd, we've got Venus trine Jupiter. So we've got both benefic planets, which I think this is really beautiful and supportive because it's like this really supportive energy coming in the mix of chaos. So Venus is going to be in your third house, forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde in your seventh. I really look at this too as like maybe a really powerful conversation that you're having, or maybe you develop a really important connection at this time that becomes very supportive. Um, with the Jupiter retrograde too, I do think for some people, this could be with anything that you've been processing internally. There can be like a really powerful shift or something shifting to where you are approaching something differently internally. If you kind of understand, if you get what I'm saying, like maybe you're processing something around a relationship and you've been struggling with it, but that this is where there's something that just shifts and you have a different outlook on it, if you kind of know what I mean. Then we get to the fourth week of February, and on the 25th, we've got Mercury stationing retrograde in Pisces. And so, again, pay attention to kind of what's been showing up prior to this point, and that'll give you an idea of what you're evaluating or what you are reevaluating in this area of life. On the 27th, we have the Sun forming a conjunction to the North Node and Mars square Uranus. The Mars square Uranus is definitely going to bring something around like power outages, storms, crazy weather. Um, the Sun conjunct the North Node, though, I love this. This is definitely a day you want to pay attention to what is showing up around intuitive downloads, thoughts, conversations, whatever you've been navigating in this area of life. This is a day where something really beautiful can come in to help support you down this new direction. You've been navigating the last two, well, I would say since the end of 2024. And then on the 28th, we've got Venus conjunct Mercury retrograde. So this can be, this is where you just want to be careful of misunderstandings. Like if you're having an important conversation with someone, make sure that you are understood or you're understanding what they're saying. Just be careful that there's no misunderstandings. And that you're there's just clarity or you're developing clarity around anything that you are confused about. Just and definitely don't take action based on something that you kind of hear right away. Like just this is a day you just want to make sure that there's clear communication. And then we also have Mars activating the eclipse point on the 28th as well. So we have that Aquarius eclipse at 28 degrees, and then Mars is going to come in and activate that eclipse point. Now, I do think this is going to play out collectively, like as far as weather events and power outages and riots, like kind of what's going on in Minnesota. Now in our own individual lives, Mars is the ruler of the fourth house of home and family and property. So there could be something unexpected around home or family that you're having to address at this time. Children, because Uranus is in that fifth house of children. So this is a day you want to make sure you're driving carefully. You're not taking chances. This is a day to be responsible, which Capricorn usually always are responsible. You're pretty responsible. Unless there's like something really unique and different in the chart, then maybe that counteracts the Capricorn responsible energy, but Capricorns usually are quite responsible. Um, but yes, so Capricorn, I hope this helps you kind of navigate the energy for the month ahead. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and I will connect with you in the next one.